Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, and I'm glad to see you all here. Let me introduce myself. My name is Hasmianti, and I am one of your presenters today. Uh, in this presentation, I'm going to talk about motivation in the language classroom. Over again, we will talk about motivation. I've chosen this topic because motivation is a very crucial aspect that we need to consider, whether it's a teacher or a learner. Maybe we can say that motivation is the most important factor towards the affecting outcome of second language learning. Furthermore, Dorney says that the success or failure of second language learners depend on whether they can keep their enthusiasm, commitment, and persistence on the long process of learning or not. So, the questions appear: what is the sources of students' motivation, and how can teachers ensure that their students' motivation remain high during the learning process? Okay, regarding to this topic, I would like to elaborate my presentation into two main sections. First is what is the important sources of students' motivation, and the second is who is responsible for maintaining and increasing students' motivation. Uh, le- let's now begin. Let's now focus on these sections one by one. To begin with, the important sources of students' motivation. When we talk about motivation, maybe the first question that will occur in your mind is what is the sources of students' motivation, and likely you will find the sources. The sources are familiar with you actually. They are consist of first, students' attitude toward the target language. It means that the students' motivation tend to have a higher level of motivation when they show a positive attitude towards the target language, its cultures and economy, and when they appreciate the social and economic uh, benefits associated with being proficient in the language, in terms of the benefits that they can get when they master the target language. And the second is the student's perception about the immediate utility of the language in the community. This term shows that students will feel more motivated if what they have learned in the class can be applied in their actual life, or at least in their daily conversation or their daily life. So, the third is their sense of competence in the target language. The students' motivation will rise up when they feel that they have the needed skills and ability to perform a task. Fourth is their perception about the enjoyment level of the students. I do believe that every single person of you agree with me when I state that students will be more motivated when they find the lesson is interesting and enjoyable, so that they will learn the material because they like, they want, and because they are unwilling, not because they get any forces from the outside. I mean. Fifth is their classroom learning environment. The good management of classroom activities, which is free from stress, can encourage students to participate actively without fear of making any mistakes. Sixth is their teachers' personality and teaching effectiveness. In the classroom activities, students tend to have a higher motivation when they feel their teacher teach in a good manner, act as a professional, and care to their students. So, I'd like now move on to the second section, who is responsible for maintaining and increasing students' motivation. The answer of this question depends on whether we see the motivation as a fixed or a dynamic construct. When we see motivation as a fixed entity, we will claim that motivation is the student's problem. Students are responsible fully of their own motivation. There's no much thing that we can to do to change it. And when we see the motivation as a dynamic construct, it means that it can be changed depending on the learning situation in the classroom. It can be considered as the teacher's problem. So I'd like to deduce by stating that there are many sources of students' motivation, so teachers need to be aware of all these sources and do their best to increase their students' motivation. Then motivation can be seen as student or teacher problem depending how we view the motivation, dynamic or fixed construct. The last is motivation can be increasing with a maximum efforts both of the students and teachers, because something can be done successful if all of the elements play their roles effectively. It's same with the case of motivation. Okay, thank you for listening.